Everybody, welcome to What's Up Wednesday. We had a poll recently on LinkedIn asking what kind of compensation structures that people preferred. Now, we're aiming that primarily at the more transient traveling workforce, not necessarily somebody who gets a job and they're home in their own bed every night, but somebody who travels out and does project work around the country. Most of the folks we hire, most but not all, tend to travel. So we wanted to kind of understand a little bit better what people are looking for in employment. I think it's really important that employers understand that. We're also in an industry that is somewhat notorious for having a more transactional relationship with employees. I think that the safety industry and safety companies and different staffing companies in general have a tendency to be more transactional because much of what they're doing is project or contract based. So some questions for everybody, and I know sometimes they say, hey, drop us a note, tell us what you think or an idea you might have, but really we'd like some comments back on this. We'd love some feedback because I think it's really important to understand. Now, I know I've touched on this topic in the past. I'm not going to expand on it very much, but there are a lot of safety companies out there. And I'm going to focus specifically on safety companies, not other types of staffing and consulting firms. But there are a lot of safety companies out there who still 1099 people. And that, like I've said in the past, if somebody says, hey, we're going to make you a 1099 contractor, not a W-2 employee, my attitude is run the other direction. Don't work for a company like that. There are a lot of reasons, and I'm not going to touch on those today. The reality is, as an employer, should be a legitimate employer. You should be a W-2 employee. And then there's a matter of compensation. Do you prefer to be what they call hourly non-exempt, meaning you get paid by the hour, and if you work overtime, you get overtime? Or do you prefer a salary exempt structure where you get paid 40 hours a week regardless, but there isn't overtime compensation? That's a big question that we continue to ask because on one end, we hear people saying we want this, we want the job security of a salary, and others say, no, I want my overtime. So, what do people want? What is most important? We really want to know that. Secondly, when it comes to uh, time off, holidays, and then, vacation time, home leave, whatever you want to, call your time off, sick time. How important is paid time off, PTO, to people? In our industry, traditionally, it's not something that you've seen. Some of the bigger companies have, I guess, kind of transitioned into models where they offer PTO. I know that we're headed that direction, and we want to know how important that is to people. On a factor of 1 to 5, what are the 5 most important things to you? In the past, it's been pay rate, per diem. It's been other a variety of other things, but what things matter the most? How important are medical, dental, vision, long and short-term disability and life benefits? A lot of companies don't offer them. I know that we do. How important are those to people? It seems that to some they're very important, to some maybe not as much. And then the other big question is, do people want to be ideally at home, able to work, an assignment and be at home at night? Or do all of you out there prefer to travel and receive a per diem when you're on the road? That's kind of one of those big questions right now. I know that we're seeing a lot more clients requesting local candidates only. They don't want to pay a per diem. They want people local. And I know that's been really, really challenging. And at the same time, I know that we've heard from some of the folks we put on the road that they would love to be closer to home. So how important is that? I think what we're looking for, and again, if you could drop us comments, we'd love to see them. Or what are the 5 most important things to you? What things matter the most when choosing an employer and or staying with an employer? One other consideration is is how somebody is treated, respect, continuing education, whether or not an employer will invest in your opportunity to learn, maybe earn certifications. How important is that? And how important is that relationship with the employer where you have constant dialogue with them, not just, a little bit of communication when payroll is due. I know in our industry, a lot of companies are notorious for not even talking to the people they have out in the field, their consultants, unless it's payroll related, which I think is terribly wrong. But either way, how important are these factors? What matters the most? And I think the big question as I kind of exit this What's Up Wednesday is what factors would lead to you or anybody wanting to stay with an employer? I know that one factor would be keep me working, but beyond that, you know, what would what would basically motivate you to stay with an employer even if lured away by somebody else who's offering $2 more an hour, whatever that looks like? We really want to know. We truly, genuinely want to understand what people want because it's really important that as an employer, and that's not just Intuitive Safety Solutions, that's any employer, that we really truly know what people want so we can try to be the best employer possible. And I know that we're committed to that. Our consultant experience, our employee experience is our number one goal as an employer. So therefore, please, I keep saying it, drop us a note, drop us a note, drop us a note, but we'd love to hear your comments. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can email me directly if that's easier. I'm happy to share my email address. And we really appreciate you taking the time to watch this, and we'll see you next Wednesday.